and defenders from the European scene.
Yeah.
Across the board, just exactly what we just showed.
Yeah, look at that. Surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen. No variation whatsoever from the top 5, whether it be on defense or attack. Wow. Okay. Yep. That's to be expected, I suppose. That's why they are the top 5 picked operators for both these teams. However, that aside, Millenium will be going into the top floor defense. That is the Armory and Archives to start things off here. Now, there are 2 preferred bomb sites on border. There has not been much variation on this point for most teams. That is the Armory defense, which we see here, and then underneath it, the ventilation defense slash server room. And basically, when you're going downstairs after you finish your Armory defense, typically you just defend it the same way. You have 3 people come upstairs here in the same place, try to hold through the destructible floor down to the site below.
Now we're going to start seeing some members from gBots spawn out on the east side of the map, as well as 2 on the south side. Barrage just working his way to the south balcony, peeking on in towards the offices.
Yeah, and the attack here shaping up from gBots is kind of a little bit more spread out than we're used to seeing. However, it seems to be centered around the east stairs, which leads me to believe that they are going to want to push their way in through offices. We talked about earlier, that is pretty much the go-to strategy for the entire scene, whether it be EU, North America, or Latin America. And it looks like that is what gBots is starting to do. But actually, they are seemingly, as majority of them are on the first floor here, trying to hunt down those roamers. They're droning for each other, taking their time, going for that methodical push, that pocket aggression, like you were talking about earlier. Hunting down the roamers before they start the push into the site, because they know they have to deal with that C4 at some point or another. It may as well take them out early on.
Yeah, it looks as though Renshiro will be downstairs inside of the servers. Drid possibly droning out below to spot him out and ultimately go for the push.
He's taking his time about it. There's only a half a minute left, but meanwhile, Liven has been downed as he was standing on top of the shelving unit in Archives. He will not get finished off, but that is a good initial 50 HP taken off of the Jaeger.
Now there is Steezy. He's going to get a couple shots in the back as Wesker goes for the push in, goes for the shots on hand, but misses. And there are 3 members from Millenium all focused on the Archives door now on east balcony.
That was unfortunate from Wesker. He had the backs of 3 enemies and just could not secure the kill of a single one of them. However, that is 3 enemies who are now all lit up. And as soon as they enter into an engagement, they will be at a severe disadvantage going up against these rifles.
Now, Renshiro has been spotted out here. However, we are going to see Lion move into the offices, drag that kill down onto Hansen. That's going to be the smoke inside of Fountain. Now, Barrage is getting up on top of the bus. He's going to go over to the balcony on the window of Archives. Just trying to make sure it's all clear as he gets on up. Now, we did see a little engagement happen between Renshiro and I believe that was Choi down here. Yes, Choi did spot him out. It looks like Steezy, though, going to take on Lion. That's a Thermite instead of Office. He will down and get finished off. Drid picks off Renshiro for the trade. And as Steezy tries to retreat off of the monitors, he gets back onto site nice and easily. With Renshiro down, Drid is now underneath with 2 nades still to go. I expect him to toss these up and allow Wesker to get this plant down. We are going to see, yep, first nade's going to come on out. This could be the end of Yogurts. It goes flying, and he will get injured.
Now,
however, the Claymore kill coming out strong from Lion finishes off Liven, and Stiz will fall here by Choi.
Great control there exerted by gBots. They established power over the offices before they pushed their way downstairs to clear out the roam game, and then just one by one afterwards, they started to pick apart the Millenium defense. Now, what I noticed there is that Millenium is not exerting any sort of power over CCTV or really offices. The way that they're choosing to hold both of them is a little bit older than what we're used to seeing in the Pro League thus far, and it's just not going to work in the current meta the way things are shaping up. It might be to their detriment then, moving into future defense rounds of the Armory. But we'll see if they're able to adapt to the gBots take, or if it's going to continue to go in a downward spiral trying to form Millenium. However, that was just the first round, mind you. And we'll see how exactly gBots choose to set up their defense now on the same exact bomb site. If it's something similar, we could see, well, something similar coming out from Millenium, in that they kind of just have the advantage moving into their attack round.
Yeah, one of the words that came to mind when we saw Wesker push in against the 3 members from Millenium and miss them, I thought claustrophobic. I felt like there were 2 condensed. You had two inside of Archives and smoke that was Hansen inside of the fountain.
Yeah, and it's
Too
worth
cluttered, I
it's
guess.
yeah, and it's worth noting as well that they weren't even trying to hold B balcony, B window. They were simply there were 3 guys in B staring at offices. Then that just seems to be a little bit of a lack of communication on Millenium's part, which is not good. Not good to say the least. I think that, you know, they need to really, that's going to probably be one of their greatest issues moving into this match, given the recent leadership change and the way that recent change in the way that they conduct themselves in the match.
Now we are going to see the IQ come out from Liven, and Hansen's going with that buck play, meaning they're opting for no thermite and no sledge. Which buck on this map in this particular bomb site to me is more powerful than sledge. They both bring nades, however you can play more vertically with buck than you can with sledge.
Right, you are, because you can use that buck skeleton key to open up holes from underneath, which is exactly what you would need to do on this particular bomb site. However, it does look like it might not be their plan, or might not be their plan for the buck in this instance, as he has situated himself on the north balcony outside the B window, which is a very powerful position.
Now, Liven did spot out Wesker, so we're going to see Liven go for a push here, but he's got to be careful because Drid has this hole opened up to possibly see him down the hall, but he misses and doesn't actually witness Liven down here.
So that Valkyrie can be shot through the wall if Liven can establish the angle.
All he needs to do, he's got the angle right there. All he has to do is shoot. It looks like Lion gets downed and finished off by the nade. I'm going to say that was from underneath.
No, that was from
that was out the window,
the
okay.
buck on the window.
Up and over the archive, the desk unit, nice. That means the mirror window will get opened up. Liven will tag down Wesker. That's the Valkyrie that was inside a break room. Drid takes that SMG-11 to the head of Styes, and that is a 3-4 here coming out for Millenium. Drid's going to take a couple bullets to the soft wall of Fountain, then tuck himself back in. He does have a rotate hole, but if he gives this position up, Millenium will take over Office and then take over the Archives B site. Looks as though Yogurts pushes on forward and drop down the smoke, and that will be him getting a second kill, getting down Troy. Last minute alive is going to be Baraz. He's inside of the middle office of lockers. He tags one down, but he's got 3 more to go and just cannot secure it. Yogurts coming out strong at the end of round 2 with 3 kills.
Overall, this is a similar defense, no, though not the same, from what we were seeing from Millenium. And similar in the way that it is just a little bit flimsy. Dissimilar in the way that they were trying to maintain control over CCTV, and they were trying to be a little bit more loose and open with their play on that armory defense. But at the same time, again, it was really just a case of Millenium situating themselves well and aggressing at the right time onto the right players on the defensive lineup. As they were so spread out, they didn't have the right utility to try and hold the angles that they needed to, such as, for example, a mirror window in CCTV, looking towards the main hallway, looking towards offices, looking towards south balcony, you know, looking towards basically everything. Because they didn't have something along those lines, they basically just lost their engagements one by one, and, well, there goes the round. Now, this is really interesting. Coming out from gBots, we are seeing, ladies and gentlemen, drumroll please, a Montaigne, and on top of that, a Glaz. We have what would be considered a full cancer loadout coming out from the gBots here. Montaigne and Glaz, not only that, but on top of it, a Blackbeard. So
they're going for an Archives push.
It's very clear, yes, they are going for an Archives push here. It's likely we're going to see the Archives wall get opened up by that thermite. The Thatcher's going to make that possible. Then you're going to see the Montaigne close off the lines of sight as the Glaz smokes for him and then starts to lay down some cover fire. You'll probably see Blackbeard situate himself on the north balcony. Of course, that could be not at all what's going on here, as it looks like they are spawning now in favor of an A-wall take. The complete opposite take, however, just as feasible with this particular lineup. We'll see what they choose to do here.
Now, it does look like Drid got one shot off onto the chest alive and making him limp away. He gets all the way back upstairs, but there's no doc to help him out.
It's likely to get reset, however, that's going to be still 50 HP. So it is going to be an A-wall take almost certainly here coming out from gBots. They will be starting things off here by opening up the A-wall itself with that Thermite Thatcher combo. Steezy's trying to challenge her right now.
Now you can see that Steezy's calling this out, that Troy's just going to be sitting here along with Yogurts, knowing exactly, okay, I have the angle. If he unextends his shield to try to get Steezy, then it's going to be game over. But what we're seeing now is they've given up that wall. They are now going to make sure they can maintain this mirror window. Renshiro, however, does tag the kill there onto Wesker, and that was going to be the Roamer Hunter.
You can see the smokes coming out from the attacking squad. However, the gas canisters are the response coming out from gBots, or sorry, rather, Millenium. And those gas canisters will be able to nullify the smokes effectively. And now the thing to note here is that the attackers don't have nearly as many smokes as they would normally in the past. So they have to conserve them
Here's
just as
a little
much.
peek. Renshiro's about to go for it. Will Baraz get the quick angled shot? He's going to need this quick reflex. Goes for it and misses his target. His shield gets destroyed. He's going to go again, and Renshiro has decided to back away for the time being. Looks as though the smoke grenades have gone down. Lion needs to get this Lion needs to get this planted right now, and it looks as though the window gets opened up. One pop tap from Drade will take off the head of Hansen. Another one, it's going to be Stizzy going over to the half wall. He will tag down Lion. Plant has not gone down, but Raz will finish off Renshiro from the servers. This is now a 3-on-3, and Stizzy, now he's taking a look underneath through the hole behind half wall with a Monty, Blackbeard, and Glaz left alive, and I don't know if they have any smokes left. That might not be the end of it here. We're going to have Yogurts finishing off Baraz as he comes around from the middle hall. Troy and Drid, last two alive. Now Troy might need to get this plant down by himself as Drid pushes on forward, goes for the shot. Stizzy grabs the double kill onto Troy and Drid. And we will see Millenium secure round number 3. It's now 2-1.
An interesting play there from gBots. The strategy of planting behind a mountain under cover of smoke is extremely dated. And I mean extremely dated. I think pretty much like, you know, year 1, season 3, year 1, season 2, it's pretty far back there. Seeing it come forth here in year 2, season 2 now, I mean, of course we have seen it a couple times here and there in certain situations, but I don't know if that was the right situation. I don't know if that was necessarily what you want to be going for. Right now, the meta that we have that's evolved so far is, you know, going towards more of the light, the 3-speed, you know, the high-powered guns, and the just kill potential. And there wasn't a whole lot of kill potential coming out from gBots. They had a Thatcher, Thermite, and a Montaigne, who are arguably not on the forefront of kill potential, right? They didn't have an Ashe. And you know, they had the Glaz, who did as much as he possibly could, and then there was also, I think, a Sledge at the front door.
Thatcher. Thatcher was at the front door.
That was a Thatcher at the front door, and he got picked off really early. And I think just they lost a lot of their rifles early on in that attack, which is pretty much all of their teeth. And when you're bearing as well a Montaigne, who's effectively a toothless operator in this sense. That
Good
limits you
placement.
quite significantly.
He hopped it right up on top of the billboards, but instantly seen. And all that did for gBots was just possibly identify 1 or 2 of the operators on the attack squad.
Which doesn't amount to a whole lot in the meta right now. There is no Thermite coming out from the Millenium lineup here. Instead opting to bring that IQ, which makes a lot of sense if they're trying to maintain north control, because you need, in order to get onto that north balcony, you need to make sure that you don't have a Valkyrie camera looking at you. Hansen's going to be bringing that buck downstairs, and that buck is going to be very useful to getting rid of any of the
and there's the nade, tosses on up and just gets Drid down. Wonderful toss. You could see that he used that skeleton key to open up the floor, and as the heartbeat sensor was staring down at him, he was able to cook that grenade, throw it on up, and get the kill.
As I was saying, yeah, very useful in getting rid of any of the defenders who are sitting and waiting in the offices.
We'd actually talked about that a couple play days ago, or a couple streams ago, and I was curious why we didn't see more of it, because right there it worked perfect.
Right, well, establishing the ability to actually utilize that vertical angle is oftentimes really complicated. In this instance, I believe it was the defenders who already made it for him. He opened up the hole. He opened up the hole into the wall that allowed him to get into the building himself. But I think that hole was actually made by the defenders. He could have just naded from underneath anyway. Steez is gonna kill Troy, pick things off here, and putting it into a 5 versus 3 now.
We do. Oh, a hipfire wall bang from Stiz coming on out to finish off Lion. What kind of madness was that? We are going to see Wesker try to pop on out of the archives as well, and Stiz is going to be saying no. Takes him down for the count. Now a 5-on-1, and Baraz unfortunately will not get out of this alive. Yogurts is going to finish that off from the middle hallway as he's strafing across. We will have Millenium go up 3-1 after a very dominant round 4.
The real madness there was an unreinforced Archives B wall. Sure, he got the crazy, hip fire through the wall, but it should have been reinforced in the first place. A little bit of an oversight there on gBots' part, and now Millenium, who were at the deficit in the first round, are up 3-1. That is an extremely fast turnaround coming out from them. They are going to be forced to defend Ventilation Room now, as they were successful in their armory defense previously. And we'll see how they choose to set themselves up here, as this is the first time we've seen this particular bomb site played on this map. In that last round, I mean, it was just a very, very simple attack. Let's take control of below offices, get rid of anyone playing in offices from below. That happened in probably the first 40 seconds. Then push into offices, open up B, plan in B. They didn't even get to the plan in B step, as all of the defenders who were trying to hold those angles died in the process. And this is, again, what we were talking about earlier, that distinct lack of utilization of utility in those mirror windows, just improper placement, improper use, and it's, showing through here how that is causing a problem for specifically gBots in this case.
Now again, we're going to see some members from gBots actually start all the way up. We've got 2 on west, 2 on south, and Troy, who's the Ash, is going to be all the way on the east balcony. So they're, like you said earlier, they're very spread out from what we normally see out of gBots.
Right. gBots is one of those teams that tends to bunch up and sort of like attack as a group. They have all their bases covered, sure. They will obviously deny any roam influence from below if they're attacking armory, or above if they're attacking ventilation. However, they do like to come, into their attacks as a team. It looks like they are going to be trying to take control of CCTV as well as offices. They're going to have to contest with a pulse in the offices. However, CCTV is free to gain.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, how you want to gain control if you're an attacker of that top floor for the bottom push. But we've always talked about how the monitors room, the CCTV room, is the pivot point for many different kinds of pushes on this top floor.
Offices and monitors are pretty much similar in that regard. They're both pivot points for the attack. However, it really depends on how you're choosing to go about things. Troy's going to start things off here by picking off Yogurts. That was a nice aggressive play from Yogurts. Unfortunately, he missed the shots onto the Ash. And now, with only 1/2 of the round left to go, gBots are in a man advantage situation that they didn't necessarily need to be put into by Millenium.
Now it looks as though Liven's still going to be holding down the west balcony wall. It's going to get droned out here by Baraz. Wesker and Baraz, though, going to move in forward. Spots the... He's going to try to... He spots the mirror window, obviously. He's going to try to break that thing open. It does successfully. C4 is going to come on out. Tags 1 kill. He's going to escape with his life, but however, Renshiro will not. Troy will pick him off, as well as Troy getting injured. But Drid's going to be here, and hopefully we'll see if he can get picked up. Looks like that may have been a double down for the count. Liven, as he has dropped, will move in towards the atrium, in towards Tellers, possibly coming around for a flank here on the east stairwell. He's going to make a push soon, though, because there's only 40 seconds left. We also have the Bandit that's Stizzy off site. Means there's only Hansen to basically hold down the fort.
Yeah, and he's not even holding down the actual fort. He's holding it down from the hallway. Steezy and Liven, meanwhile, are in a similar situation right next to the site. Not in it. We are going to be seeing Liven picked off by Drid to start things off here now. 2 versus 4. Not looking good.
Now, Stizzy was spotted out inside of the inspection room, as Troy also got droned out by the camera, the stationary camera, the standard camera. He's going to go for the tag there onto Hansen. Hansen being off-site will be the one that's picked off, and Bandit, last man alive, is going to be Stizzy. He will fall to Drid as they just rush in from the bathroom side, that northern side of the bomb site.
That is going to be gBots starting their, starting their comeback here on their ventilation attack. Now, what we saw there from them is just a very standard take. Let's establish control over offices and CCTV. Then we'll progress our way into archives, and then through the upstairs armory wall into armory itself and we'll just kind of sandwich and pinch any of the roamers who are playing upstairs before we open up lines of sight down into the bomb sites themselves and pick off the anchors one by one, come in for the plant. Very, very standard take for gBots. Unfortunately for Millenium, there wasn't a lot that they put in a position to stop that from happening. They got a kill here and there to trade things back. However, they always ended up losing one in return or in the initial engagement. So from the get-go, they were at this disadvantage. Now, gBots, they are going to be able to defend Armory yet again. They're not going to opt to go downstairs. They think that they have probably the best chance of winning on this particular bomb site. And that is going to be good for them if the case be true that they do have a better chance of winning here. If they are able to adapt and make the change that is necessary to make a victory come through in Armory, we will, luckily for them, see a 3-3. However, it's going to be on them to make that adaptation, as they have been unsuccessful in defending this particular bomb site twice now.
I think one of the things to note about how, thinking about last round, with Millenium trying to hold on to the top floor. They had 3 members, I think, top floor. They opened up so much of the floor that they didn't have there was no buck left alive, or there was no buck chosen. I don't know how much work the sledge did, but the floor, they'd already pre-opened up as much of the floor that the attackers really needed. These attackers didn't need to open up too much more, and therefore that's why we saw Hansen outside of the site, because he realized that basically every corner, every inch of that the server room was already seen, so he couldn't be inside.
This is some aggressive play coming out from Drid here. He is going to be spotted out by Hansen, and there will be a double down situation. That will be seen by Steezy, and it's likely that both of these teams now know who is down and who is not. Living going to nade off Drid, though, as Hansen is not nearly as exposed.
However, Wesker will finish off Yogurt, trading off the Ash. Looked like it might have been from underneath.
Yeah, and that's a good trade back there. Trading a Pulse for an Ash isn't necessarily beneficial for the defenders. However, it still was a lot of time wasted. We're down to half of a round left here to go. Now, it seems like gBots are really, really determined to leave this B wall unreinforced and trying to utilize it in their office's hold. We'll see if it works out for them this time. It's been thus far unsuccessful.
I don't know if we saw it all the way there, but it looked as though there was a peeker. I want to say it might have been Wesker or Baraz. Oh no, there's going to be Wesker falling to Stizzy as he looks on up above the Archives shelving unit. Renshiro will also get his own kill onto Troy as he peeks on around.
Yeah, talking about overused angles, and the shelving unit is one of the first that comes to mind. Lion's going to kill off Renshiro, though, with the C4 before Liven trace things back onto Baraz. All down to Lion now.
It is a 1-on-3. Lion's got to run away, but he's blinded in the process, and that's an easy kill for Hansen. Millenium, though, coming out with a 4-2 lead here after round 6.
Yeah, Millenium's looking strong. And they are going to be able to defend, I believe, Armory next round, which means that if they are able to lock things up here on this site that they prefer, we will see a first map going in the favor of Millenium.
It looks as though that gBots left that wall soft again.
Yeah, well, they did, and it was weird. It looks like they're trying to intentionally leave the B bomb site wall soft to utilize it to try and hold offices, though that's not necessary in the grand scheme of things. On top of that, they also have Amira, who's now putting a mirror window on the adjacent wall to try and, give them the peeker's advantage in that situation. So all in all, a very interesting hold coming out from gBots that seems to be working against them. And it is very clearly working against them now, as they are 4-2, as we talked about earlier. Millenium now going for a little bit more of a loose setup here, as they are opening up those rotation holes, which previously I believe it was gBots who were opening these rotation holes. Looks like they might try and play a little bit harder in CCTV this particular round, and we'll see if that works to their advantage. Oh, are they going to be utilizing the CCTV east wall mirror window? They are going to be doing that. So that mirror window, if you open up the office's walls, which they have not done, where they've opened up a rotation onto the closer ones. However, they didn't open the far fountain wall. If you open them up, you give that mirror window control over offices. You give them control over the main hallway. You give them control over the south balcony door, and effectively CCTV as a whole, as west balcony is not an easy way to progress into CCTV. So that's a lot of power exerted from one single mirror window. And I think it's great to see Millenium bringing that particular strategy into play here.
Now we're having a late camp thrown out by Live, and Drid hears it, and he will destroy it immediately. Now it looks as though we saw Millenium trying to rotate on over. That was the Bandit and Valkyrie, I think it was, both moving off of CCTV to get into lockers. Now that's why those two doors are opened up. You can easily navigate back and forth between it without being detected, because you've got 2 seconds to do so. But I want to say they need to stay on the locker side of things, because the rest of their team, I think, is already off site.
Yeah, the attacking team gBots here, they have taken their time to situate themselves outside. Oh, an aggressive peek out from Steezy will be missed. The opportunity will be missed from Baraz. But it was presented all the same, and that is some really interesting play. I mean, Millenium obviously here are getting extremely confident as they are in such a lead right now, but I don't know if that's the right call to be making. Simply wait, you're on defense. All you have to do is lock out this round and you're done. So hold those shift W's and be patient.
Yogurt is going to be in break room. Looks like Drid will spot him out here.
gBots, on the other hand, being really quite cautious here on attack, as they are the ones put in the predicament here. They're the ones in the sticky situation that they have to win this round or they lose the first map, and nobody wants to lose their first map in a best of 3. Baraz gonna pick off Steezy, as Steezy is likely peeking out aggressively yet again on almost certain that same angle. Yep, there it is. So a good play there from Baraz. I believe that's the B wall that has been opened up.
I believe you're right there on that. And Baraz now still looking through the window on east balcony. Taking a look into the site. That's going to be Wesker who moves on forward. Now, Lion does have the diffuser in hand, but he's got to get up the boat, or I'm sorry, up the bus and over to the single window or try to rappel on up. But it looks like there he goes. He's going to go for the bus side. Wesker needs to either bait out these gas grenades right now or risk it causing some damage in the near future. There's only 25 seconds to go. Wesker pushes around. He's going to grab the shot into Hansen, moves it over towards Locker, and as Jokic is going to have to back away to reload, we are going to have Drid picking up Liven. Now, as we see him going for another repeat, Wesker's already got his sights lined up. Renshiro will be the last one to fall, though, as Drid picks him off with a SMG-11.
A good attack there from gBots, but more importantly, I feel a little bit of a neglection of a defense from a Millenium. They were getting very aggressive on their play, as well as overlooking particular angles, such as what we just saw, Wesker creeping in there on the B balcony. Now, I just want to say, we have seen that twice now, coming out from gBots onto Millenium's upstairs defense, where the Millenium defense is just not paying attention to that B balcony door. And I feel like it's got to be a miscommunication coming out from Millenium, some sort of one of the players in the ranks is just going, all right, yeah, I'm covering it, and it's not happening. Likely the smoke. I'm thinking that the smoke is thinking his gas canisters are actually covering that door when they are in fact not. But I'm sure they'll realize that upon reflection of the VOD. Now, Millenium 4-2 still, match points still in the favor of Millenium even after losing that last round. They are going to be going on to attack of gBots defense of upstairs. I believe that's no, that's downstairs. Excuse me, that's downstairs.
So did we see? I'm drawing a blank on.
It's deceptive because they have all 5 of the defenders now upstairs, investing all of their utility upstairs, looking to open up those lines aside down to into the actual bomb site.
So did we see a roamer underneath last time, or was it all 5 topside? Because it seems like if once they realize that Henson's smoke and his gas grenades are not able to stop the door from the corner where he sits in archives, are they going to put someone underneath the C4, whether it be a Valkyrie, a Pulse, or someone else?
I mean, it's always a viable strat to have that C4 player downstairs, and yes, of course, there will be a roamer hunter to try and, you know, nullify it. However, it's down to the player put into that position to either be able to read into the roamer nullifier and try and avoid them or kill them. And you know, we've seen it go in both ways time and time again. So it really is just kind of battle of wits, battle of skill sort of situation unfolding there. But Shear's going to start things off here with a kill onto Wesker. That was the Valkyrie off the board. She's probably got all 3 of her cameras down, so that hopefully for gBots won't affect the round too terribly much. However, still a gun.
There's going to be one nade. Oh, the ADS is going to save his life. don't think Dread knows how close he was to death. Now Liven's going to take one chance as well.
That actually might be a battery, because the battery is on the wall that was right next to that grenade.
What to spot here? Renshiro tagging another kill there. That's going to take out Choi. That will force Dread to fall. He realizes the wall is being opened up. Nades are coming flying in underneath the castle barricade. So he's going to stay under for the time being. Now he does have a shotgun in hand, it looks like. So when the call comes out that there's men above, he might just be able to get the floor bang he's been looking for.
Yeah, gBots are at the man disadvantage, yes. However, there is only a minute left for Millenium to make this attack happen. They need to start getting a little bit more aggressive, making those pushes into the bomb site itself.
Now Baraz has navigated through the crawl space over into the beast site. Looks like he might be coming up on the left side of Yogurt as he's holding on to the right side Pixel Peak, which he might be spotting Lion here if he keeps on moving forward. But he's got to be cautious. Hansen, however, does take that buck assault rifle to finish off Drid. Yogurts will fall to Baraz, and that's going to dwindle down man count to 2 members left here for gBots on defense. There's 30 seconds left to go. Hansen's going to have to drop. He's got to watch the flank as well. Stizzy's coming in from the bathroom. Hole's been opened up. Lion helps on top of the desk. The Valkyrie cameras will actually spot him coming through the bathroom hall. That's going to be a call out to Lion with 15 seconds to go. It's going to be a quick push. Baraz already coming around for the flank of inspections. And Lion still waiting for the push. He's around here now. It's going to be collapsing. Grabs one. No, he doesn't. He misses his target. Now we do have Baraz. Last minute alive. He's going to take one. Kenny down another. Not just yet. The diffuser is going to get planted. And we will see this go into a 1-on-3. 45 seconds. He's going to tag another. He's got Stizzy and Hansen, last 2 alive, against 1 Baraz from gBots. He's going to go hard right on the door as there's going to be a member that's bucked at Hansen inside the site. Now he's going to be popping on out through the bathroom, waiting for the shots. He goes for the kill, but he misses it, and Hansen comes out on top of that engagement. We'll see Millenium take this into 5-3. They take the home the map.
Good halves coming out from both the teams in the chat, as you said. 5-3 in favor of Millenium. The attack we were seeing from them there was pretty much what we expected to see, and it was a really well executed attack at that. They took control of the upstairs offices and archives, not progressing too terribly far as they knew they didn't need to. And they just simply went in through Teller's bathroom and made that push into the site itself. I mean, that's a good, concise way to execute an attack onto a ventilation room hold.
Yep, and so that was map number 1 going into the hands of Millenium, which seems like they actually have their stuff together. I mean, we saw them going up against gBots just now, and yeah, we saw some good stuff.
In the start, it was looking a little shaky.
But the first round, but I mean, someone's got to lose the first round.
Right, and it started to develop from there. I think Millenium started to read a little bit into gBots, and it worked out for them.
Yep, because they went up 3-1, and then ultimately 5-3 is what it went to be. But let's take a look at the highlights here from our first map on Border between Millenium and gBots.
That grenade wasn't necessarily a giveaway that he got the down, because in Pro League there are no points, so you don't know if you down someone or not unless you see it. However, because the mirror decided to go ahead and inch towards the drop down for whatever reason, it was very clear.
Now here's that hipfire wallbang from Stizzy right onto the mirror. 3-speed as well. You got to think, I have armor. Why do they have to get the headshot? But again, there is Liven trying to escape fate, taking one with him.
What a nice shot there from Steezy. Overall, just a really great match with some fantastic frags coming out from both of these two teams. Despite the fact that gBots lost this particular one, they did have some good plays, such as Wesker's flanks from behind.
Now, gBots chose this map. Our next map we're going to be getting... Oh, no, sorry, Millenium, if I remember. Yeah, Millenium chose this map, and gBots chose Oregon. Which, I mean, that actually makes more sense now that I think about it. We were talking about during the map bans, there was between Oregon and Consulate. Oregon is gBots' map.
Yeah, no. In the past, gBots have had a good time on Oregon, if I recall correctly. They are a team that is extremely strong there, and we'll see exactly how it is that they choose to, or how they actually end up performing on it. I mean, despite the fact that they did put up a fight on Border, it did seem kind of a little bit one-sided in the favor of Millenium. They were having a really good run of things. It could be the case that Millenium are just a little bit more on point today, we were seeing from gBots.
Yep, and so, I mean, with these two teams, we are going to be getting underway with our second and potentially final, or go moving on to our third map, depending on who's going to take this home. With Millenium securing map number 1, they're going to be looking to take this one home and secure their series 2-0. But gBots is going to be saying, I'm not ready to go yet.
Right.
Now, again, the loser of this goes down to the losers bracket. They don't necessarily get removed from the Pro League just yet after their second loss. That's kind of the fate that awaits them.
Yeah, and I think that both of these teams are going to have a good go of things if whichever one makes it to the loser bracket. Whereas the other one will go on to the winner bracket, which has nice smooth sailing, a little bit for better seeding leading into things.
So we are going to get underway here with Oregon. gBots picking it out on attack as Millenium here on defense. Now, instantly, what jumps out to me is the Jackal play on Oregon.
Yeah, Jackal play on Oregon is, well, interesting to say the least. However, it does kind of streamline a little bit the west side clear, so it's likely we're going to be seeing just that coming out from gBots early on. Of course, normally you would just have one of your teammates drone for you, but if you can do it by yourself, that does free up the other teammate to go and fulfill his job without wasting any time.
Now, seeing the Jackal pick, you said clear out the west side. Are we looking for a very similar type of progression like we see on Bank when Jackal's chosen? Is it that same purpose?
No. Well, on Bank, Jackal's usually picked up because Bank is a ginormous map with tons of roaming opportunities coming out for the defensive team. However, on this particular map, the roaming opportunities are a little bit more linear, especially when you're defending a basement. You can roam towards the west. You can roam towards the Meeting Hollow Tower. The Meeting Hollow Tower is essentially just holding the site itself. And roaming towards the west side of the building, there is no basement there, so you're cut off from the actual site itself unless you open up rotation holes in particular areas such as attic or the kitchen wall. However, those rotation holes can equally so be cut off from by the attacker. So bringing the Jackal here is just to kind of streamline clearing out that west side of the building so that one of your teammates doesn't need a drone for you.
And we're going to see Stizzy up here inside of the attic, has his drone or his Valkyrie cameras placed in some fairly, I won't say common spots, but they overlook common areas.
Interestingly, when I say streamline, I mean make it quicker. And there's only 2 minutes left to go, and west side building has not yet been cleared out from gBots. Looks like they might be pivoting for a construction attack. I'm not entirely sure what their strategy is here. They're a little bit all over the fence as they have rotated around to the northeast side of the map. It looks like it is going to be a construction attack.
Yeah, Drid did take a little peek through the pixel crack on the red tower window, or red tower doorway. Just not able to see Mute. That was live, and he picked up his jammer and then moved on back into Meeting Hall. But like you said, we are going to see some members here from gBots try to focus their way onto this back site, in through the blue, and through construction. Drid's going to be droning that out as we have Thatcher. That's going to be Wesker moving in from behind, as well as Baraz. Now we do have a couple pop shots going into the feet of Wesker. Pistol kills try to come on out, but Drid says no. Takes on Liven. We will see now the rotation from Millenium start focusing their way here onto that back entry point.
Might have been a distraction, though, as there are 2 attackers in the main lobby drop.
Looks as though they are going to try to split the Millenium defense, like you mentioned there. Yogurt's picking up the kill there onto Baraz. That is the Blackbeard that was inside of construction. We are going to have Lion take out that Bearing 9 and whip Hansen down. A 3-on-4 with Stizzy still inside of the site here with Lion. You've got Drid working his way down the back stairs. However, he does pick up the kill to Yogurt. Stizzy will fall, and Lion somehow in the middle of the site takes on 1, and we will have Wesker finish off Renshiro.
So I was wondering why gBots' attack coming into the construction tunnel was as slow as it was. I was thinking to myself, gBots, guys, if you're going to try and take Millenium off guard by going into construction take late in the game, this is not the way to do it. You need to, shift and W. You need to make that pressure happen. However, it was not, in fact, the construction take. It was simply a distraction, a diversion of sorts, where they were trying to split, like you said, split up the Millenium defense and start to pincer them, sandwich them in between, and get those, just kind of, pick them off one by one as they, progress towards each other.
I'm curious as to why Mira was off, a quote-unquote off-site or out of position where she was coming down the main stairs.
Probably just trying to set up something elsewhere, maybe possibly a mirror window on the roam game. but we didn't unfortunately get to see that, so who knows. There is going to be now a defense of the basement coming out from gBots as they were so successful in attacking this particular site. We'll see how they choose to go about their defending it. Looks like they are trying to exert a little bit more presence further out into the map than we were seeing coming from Millenium. That's a lot of reinforcements coming out into the kitchen as well as the Valkyrie cameras.
I do like that little spot, though. As long as they're not on it, it's going to stay in a dark hitting corner. They'll hop on it at the last moment, not last moment, but in a moment after the attackers have cleared kitchen, cleared dining.
Is this just a straight construction take coming from Millenium? It looks like they might just be, hey, let's take construction. However, that is, again, risky biz. And they are going to analyze their options a little bit further, it looks like.
You can see Drid scrolling through the Valkyrie cameras at the moment, all stationary cams, and there we see our Val cams. You had mentioned the construction take. It looks like Yogurts is hopping onto the roof here, heading over towards Red, checking out Attic. Now, one of the things that tends to happen with a, I'd call it a flank opportunity, is you'd have someone, whether it be a Valkyrie or a Smoke or Bandit, whoever might have C4 or impact grenades, try to open up rotate holes partway through the round, possibly even 1 minute left or 30 seconds left, to come through the attic and come around with the flank.
Yeah, so cutting that off, like you said, usually very useful for the attacking squad. However, it's not going to be the case in this instance, and instead Millenium will open it to utilize attic themselves.
Drid still going to be inside of that top floor main corridor, working his way down the armory stairs into the lobby. Now he might come up, he won't come up behind anyone. It looks as though we will see Millenium all inwards towards the red tower and also construction. Renshiro is going to be the only one pushing construction as we've got Henson and Liven working their way in red. Pre-fire's coming on through. Now you can see how close that pre-fire was to where it actually target would be on the left side, top left side of the bomb. Unfortunately, its target is not hit. Now Troy was just spotted out there, and Yogurts picks him on down as Drid takes that MPX to finish off Hansen. A coordinated double push from the defenders, and unfortunately, that cost them one of their members, and that evened out to a trade.
Trade's good for the defensive team right now in this situation with only 57 seconds left to go. The attackers need to make a play happen, and they have not established the control that they are aiming to get here. They have pressured onto the north in construction tunnel. However, that's not really enough to make a B plant happen.
You can see the fire arrows coming on out. That's likely going to stop the plant, or sorry, going to stop the push around. However, we already have the pre-placed smoke from Lion. That's going to stop the plant there from Stizzy's. He tries to get rid of the barbed wire, but he is taking and inhaling that gas as he tries. Liven still looking around from that corner drop hatch inside of the meeting hall. Renshir's going to move on forward towards box, which is going to be right next to Stizzy. Flashbang's coming out. Wesker will be blind. He's going to move on over, and he picks off one kill as he's fully blind. Renshiro gets the trade down onto him, though, and it looks like Lion will take 1 or 2 bullets here from that para inside of the site. Now they're both going to go, and looks like a shot will come down on the Lion. However, Drid with that MPX finishes off Stizzy, and the final kill will come out of Drid. And that will be the defenders taking round number 2.
Clearly, as that was a win by default because of the time running out there, it was just a little bit too much time wasted coming out from Millenium. Stalling out on their attack, not able to establish the control that they were looking for. Because of that, when they went in for that final push, they were rushed and unable to challenge the right angles slowly and methodically like they were expecting to. Now, gBots clearly displaying that they are the dominant team on Oregon thus far in this particular match. We'll see if they're able to continue that now, as we are seeing Millenium go down into the basement yet again.
Now, if this continues on the path that it's currently going on, with gBots winning each of these rounds and possibly taking this to a 3-0, 4-0, or even more, you've got to wonder, what was Millenium's mindset in allowing this map to be going through? It's a well-known map that gBots is one of their primary maps that they're always going to choose if they can.
Well, Millenium did ban Skyscraper and Coastline. I'm not sure what their third one was. I think it wasn't Cafe.
Chalet.
Chalet? Yeah, that would make sense. They banned Chalet, Cafe, sorry, not Chalet, Chalet, Coastline, and Skyscraper. And Coastline and Skyscraper are kind of go without saying sort of bans that they don't want to be brought to. Chalet, on the other hand, I'm guessing they were likely thinking of the same thing that they're experiencing right now in Oregon, which is that gBots is proficient on a map like Chalet, or possibly they simply don't want to play Chalet. Sometimes teams don't ban to counter, they just ban to like, yeah, we don't want to do that. We're not a fan of that. So let's just not bring us to that particular map ever.
I do like the constant IQ plays that are coming out of both teams here. IQ is an operator that started making a comeback, I'd say, last season when we started seeing a lot more pulse play.
She is, to be sure, a very useful operator, especially when countering that pulse, but also equally so when countering a bandit, countering a mute, countering a Valkyrie, heck, even pre-placed smoke gas canisters. Definitely a very good asset for the team, just overlooked because of her bad history, I'm sure.
Looks as though Wesker will try to move in forward here. Some shots coming on through, gonna pop a couple into Wesker. However, the breaching charge does get successfully blown up. That's going to allow them to get into the attic. However, there is still one member. That's going to be Stizzy. He has fallen on through all the way back of the site. 4 members from Millenium have retreated and recuperated inside of the bomb sites downstairs in Laundry. Drid going to be the only one. I'm sorry, not Drid. Yogurt is going to be the only one still off site for Millenium.
Yeah, it looks like he's just hanging out in the armory right now, waiting for an opportunity to pounce on one of the attackers. Doesn't look like the Jackal is aware of his presence, or at least we can't tell if he is or isn't as of this particular moment. Yeah, no, he's not aware of his presence. So that might give Yogurts a good opportunity.
Target is not hit. Now Troy was just spotted out there, and Yogurts picks him on down as Drid going to come for the shot there. Doesn't see the footsteps, and Yogurts will come out of that on top. Now we do have a wonderful distraction that Yogurts has just created, and Drid's going to be focused up here for the remainder of the round. While the rest of his team tries to go for this plant, they need to make sure that he's not going to come around and get his own kill. Liven, however, will be struck down hard by Baraz's Blackbeard play at the bottom of the main stairs. Now the rest of the barbed wire will get destroyed with 35 seconds to go. A 4-on-4 now. And Hansen realizing that, okay, they've got a Blackbeard down here. They're ready to make a push. He's going to toss out one gas grenade here in a few moments, and that might stop Baraz from being able to, there's the gas grenade getting tossed out. I'm sorry, that was the flashbang. And Hansen, as he does try to go around for the kill, it's going to be Baraz finishing him off, and Drid finally hunting down that Yogurt, hunting down that Jaeger. He will go down. Renshiro gets that C4 kill into Baraz. Last man alive is going to be Wesker as Renshiro takes on, or Renshiro falls to Wesker. Stizzy is going to be the last man alive here for the defenders. He's going to try to tag that shot there into Habana, but misses, and Lion will then secure round number 3 here for gBots, 3-0.
A very standard take coming out from gBots, and as I said, as I've talked about earlier, they are a very standard team in their takes. It was a simple, let's clear west. All right, we've cleared west. Let's open drop. All right, open drop. Let's plant the diffuser. All right, we plant the diffuser. End of story for gBots. Like the great way that they're bringing things back to the basics, but still making it work for them. Now Kids Dorm's going to be defended by gBots as they were successful in their armory defense. We'll see their setup here, as again, this is the first time we are seeing this on my channel. I'm sorry, not on my channel.
What do you think, trying to think about, with Yogurts being the Jaeger, he finished off Jackal coming up the stairs. What do you think Jaeger can do, or Yogurts could have done differently to try and stay alive or use up some more time? Anything?
I'm not really entirely sure.
Because I think he ended up trying to peek and opened an open murder hole through the floor to tag somebody, and IQ was actually the one looking up through the floor and finished him off. But again, it was a moment's notice, and unfortunately the peek just didn't go in his favor. So as we do get underway with round number 4, we're going to have the attackers be in the hands of Millenium, but we are seeing a hold on the top floor, like you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, this upstairs hold is going to be the first time we have seen this bomb site defended on this entire map thus far. 4 rounds now into the map on the 4th as we speak. And it has been an entirely gBot-sided map to start things off here.
We're going to have that double mirror strat on the kitchen windows, or kitchen walls facing into the dining hall. That's going to be the west end of kitchen. You see Millenium is going to be droning at the top floor. Now they're figuring out, okay, Baraz is up here. We've got Lion up here. That's 2 that we've seen. How are we going to push this? Could they go the north windows? Are they going to push in through big window or just focus up underneath? They will have to be wary of the C4 play from underneath, which is going to be that Mira. I'm sorry, it wouldn't be the Wesker. Nade's going to come on out and possibly finish off. No, Liven finishes him off with a nade first, as Hansen also tossed on one in. They are now going to hunt into Lion inside of the kids' dorms. It looks like he will get injured off, and the shotgun will finish him down. He's going to peek on around the opening hole, and Hansen's there to get the trade. You've got a 3-on-4 now, and top 4 controls in the hands of Millenium. You're going to have to wait for everyone else to get back on. Wesker's inside of the attic. He's now giving away his position. He will fall down into meeting hall, try to rotate around. Troy's going to come up through small tower. And we are going to have a push out by Drid to take out Renshiro. A 3-on-3 now that we have the Capital injured. Diffuser will go down. Drid's going to come up backstairs, as we also have Wesker following suit right behind him. Stizzy's going to move inside of the middle dorms. Hansen taking his position inside of A. He's looking down the large hall. We've got Stizzy looking on towards the back stairwell. Flashbang's coming on out, and we're going to have a nade get tossed in towards the front entry point. This, unfortunately, looks like it's going to be a flanking from behind. Troy tags onto one. IQ's going to peek around. He takes one down as well. Stizzy's able to get there from the middle dorms. Now we do have Troy with about 1 health and a dream. He will get taken out, and last man alive, it's going to be Liven versus Wesker. Here comes the pistol kill out from Liven. He's going to go up against this MPX, and we're going to see Liven and Wesker go head-to-head. Deagle going up the shots, and it looks like the knife comes out of Liven and right into the chest of Wesker, being the Millenium. Secure round 4, finally getting onto the board. It's 3-1 now. gBots leads the way.
An extremely aggressive play there from Millenium. Overall, they just came into the bomb site one by one through various different windows at various different times to start to try and trade each other back, and very well played to them on that collapse there. gBots did respond in kind, however, with their aggression, with their peeks outs, with their trade backs. Unfortunately, it was just one too little in the end, and Millenium came out on top, bringing them now onto the board, their very first victory.
Yeah, when it gets to a close-range pistol fight, such as we saw there between the Deagle and, I want to say, IQ's pistol, the 3-speed is most likely going to win over the 2-speed with the knife, which we saw. Unless it's going to be a longer-range fight, but in this, it was a corner of a room. You're gonna have that 3-speed be able to get that upper hand with the knife. Now we are going to see Millenium go upstairs as well, so hopefully they've opted to not go downstairs this time.
Yeah, defending this upstairs bomb site instead of trying to force out a basement defense is just really, all right, well, it's not working for us, guys. Let's try something different. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing here. We'll see if this is what they actually need to make it happen, to put themselves further onto this board here. Now, they are the ones, the Millenium here, are the team that have a little bit more room to work with, a little bit more wiggle room, as if they, that is a very narrow shot being missed there by Baraz onto Liven. Anyway, if Millenium lose this particular map, they still will be moving on to map number 3. However, if gBots lose on their map, on their home turf, they will be eliminated from this bracket and pushed down into the loser bracket.
No, Lion is going to be the one on the red tower rappel to try to make sure that anyone who's inside of that second floor red won't be peeking out towards the north windows of kids' dorms. Looks as though we're going to have Drid possibly working his way over there. Now, Drid, being that IQ, he's going around tight, around the red tower, around towards Garden to spot out those Valkyrie cameras. Now, it looks like Wesker rappels on in, not too thoroughly, though, and Stizzy will pick him on up from the top balcony.
You have to drone out each and every different layer of the tower, and that's one of the things that makes it it's so complicated to actually take tower. And it's being displayed just now by Steezy why exactly that is the case. The Thatcher being taken out. Oh, and now Drid getting eliminated. That's the IQ as well. That's a lot of gadget removal being taken off the board there for gBots. Now Millenium looking like they're in a very strong position here.
At this point in time, with 3 members of your attacking squad left, everyone's outside. 2 members of your attacking squad left, everyone's outside north windows. When you know someone's inside of the red tower, you cannot push onto north windows anymore. You have to rotate over either the big window into kitchen or come on through the main doorway.
Yeah, and it looks like they are going to try, gBots is going to try and take out, oh no, the run out coming from Steezy is going to actually find
successful
Choi.
done by Stizzy, and we're going to have Yogurts finishing off Lions. Right there, Millenium showing that they still have the moves like McJagger, and now they are going to take this round 5. It's 3-2.
An impressive start to what appears to be a comeback coming from Millenium here. They were very much at the deficit in the early 3 rounds of this game, putting themselves in what seemed to be a hopeless situation. But now they are winning these rounds back to back. Now we are going to be seeing gBots defending the laundry room yet again. We'll see how exactly Millenium choose to attack it this time. I believe last time they went onto this attack, they lost it due to stalling out on a construction take.
Believe you are correct on that one.
Yeah, meanwhile, gBots, the way they were handling this was actually somewhat unique. They pushed in not only from construction, but as well main lobby, and got a nice little pincer sandwich move going off, and it worked stupendously. gBots, meanwhile, are going to be opening up drop downs, rotation holes, and putting down reinforcements upstairs. That is going to be what indicative of, I believe, a very heavy roam game coming out from gBots, and we have seen this from them in the past, where they try to exert as much pressure as possible elsewhere apart from simply just the site.
Now with this bottom floor site being chosen yet again from Grid, I actually really like this camera. I haven't seen that particular spot before. We talked about it 3 rounds ago when we saw it, but just all together, what we're seeing here from gBots is a typical 3-2-3 or 2-3 split, which we've seen work time and time again for defending teams.
Yeah, and it's really a big question about how many you choose to split. Obviously, you need to have at least 1 sit down on the bomb site, and sometimes 2 is a good number, but in this case, gBots have gone, yep, they have gone with that number 2 number. And that is going to allow them to maneuver a little bit more freely, and that they will still have control over the west side. Now, the thing is, because Millenium is trying to push in through the tower, that is going to effectively nullify a lot of those roamers coming out from the gBots side, and that they will not be able to directly influence this push down through tower. I mean, all you have to do to hold that flank is simply point a gun at a 90-degree angle in a door and wait patiently.
Now we are seeing the majority of gBots again so forcefully pushing Millenium towards that back red tower. They've focused every one of their defenders into top floor, into bottom floor, and meeting hall.
Oh boy, oh, do it.
Right there, Yogurt's goodbye! And that is Drid instantly getting the kill there, and Live and getting picked off by Choi looking on through the hole. Fabulous coordination here by gBots.
Yeah, and when we talked about that roam game being nullified 5 seconds ago, it was gBots going ahead and stepping up and saying, nope, no siree, baba dizzle dazzle. We are going to go ahead and influence this round by opening up that attic and applying the pressure that is necessary. But meanwhile, the grenade is going to down Baraz. Hansen's not going to know about that, and he will light up Whisker. So we do have 1 down player on the gBots squad, as well as 1 very lit player on the gBots squad. But it looks like we are going to see Baraz saved by Lion.
Yep.
There is a good spread here coming out from Millenium. They do have a good reach on this map. A lot of opportunities here, but it is going to come down to individual play in the end. Not a lot of teamwork, coordination, or trade back or refrag is going to be able to come out here.
So 40 seconds left on the clock, a 3-on-5. Gas grenade starting to come on out, but Renshiro's taking that gun onto the head of Baraz, finishing him off. You are going to see Millenium try to push into the back. Lion's going to be the one to hold it down as Drid takes on to Hansen. Stizzy trying to peek on around, but he gets headshot by Lion's SMG-11. Renshiro trying to move on forward with the Blackbeard going to the shotgun to the chest will finish him off. Lion coming out strong with 2 final kills to win round 6 and take gBots here 4-2 at the moment.
You could easily attribute that particular round victory there from gBots to the attic play we saw upstairs from the roamers. Now, normally, if you have west side roamers, they are going to be caught off in that sort of situation when you're having a tower construction take coming out from the attack, and they're not going to be able to influence the round. They're not going to be able to help anything. But the great coordination, like you talked about earlier, the great C4, opened up that opportunity for those west side roamers to influence the round, even after they knew that they weren't being pushed into. Now a basement defense coming out from Millenium. This is their last chance to try and bring things back here on that match point situation. If gBots lock this out, we will see map number 3.
thinking it's likely we will see this. gBots went up on a 3-0 victory, a 3-0 lead, just kick it off on the first 3 rounds here. And Millenium did make a swing back for 2, but I think gBots was able to narrow down some of the opportunities they missed, some of the mistakes they made, and we might just see this go home.
Yeah, Millenium has a good chance of bringing it back. I mean, they performed extremely well on the previous map. They won it, in fact, and now they have been performing admirably on what is basically gBots map. So we'll see if they're able to bring it back. However, they are fighting uphill on this particular battle.
Now again, the Jackal play is going to be a core part of gBots' strategy for taking on Oregon.
And it's really interesting that it is too, by the way, because the last time we saw Jackal brought to this situation, he was used extremely slowly and actually didn't save any time whatsoever. He kind of just took the west side within, I believe, half the round. Which is less than what we can actually see with the speedy drone coverage.
Now, do we see the Echo, or not the Echo, I'm sorry, the Jackal notification when he does tag someone's feet?
What do you mean? You mean the spectator mode?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure we'll see it. Although, to be completely frank with you, we don't see Jackal played very often. So, we'll find out together. There, he's not going to find any footsteps here in this situation with which to scan. So, he is going to instead simply try to hold the angles, establish control the attacking team needs to make that push happen into the lobby drop-down.
See, at this point, it's almost like Jackal knows that the mirror window's to his left side. You either want to open this up, which we're going to see Wester use that EMP to help get rid of any kind of coverage on that mirror window on Meeting Hall, and you're either going to have Lion open that, or you should just have Choi try to throw some smoke grenades underneath. Give a little bit of line of sight difficulty for Renshiro, who's going to be inside of the Meeting Hall. There we see the foot tracking happening. Looks like it was a successful scan.
Yeah, we may not see it, actually. That's really unfortunate. I think it was onto Yogurts, though. That means that he is going to be able to, or going to be forced down into the laundry room to stay.
This Dizzy is still going to be on the top floor of that red tower, or on the second to top floor. Looks like he might be trying to rotate down, though, as Renshiro trades positions with him. There are 2 members from Millenium inside of that middle closet. Yogurt's going to tuck himself inside of the cubby, and they are going to go for a push here momentarily. It's a 5-on-5, still 45 seconds left to go, and looks like Baraz will tag the first kill onto Yogurts. That's going to be the Jaeger trying to come on out of the cubby. Wesker will fall to Renshiro, though, and Stizzy trying to go for an aggressive peek there onto Blackbeard. Liven's still here. Now his head might be shot if he tries to peek up yet again. Barrage is going to tag it for a little bit. The gas grenade, the pre-placed gas grenade is what it looked like, will ultimately halt the plant. Lion got hit with a little bit of damage. I don't know if he's going for the diffuser just yet, but Troy did drop undetected at the moment. Lion, however, is coming around for the flank inside of the Meeting Hall. Going to swing around, and there's no one looking for him just yet. He's going to swing up and pick off Baraz. No, he misses his target. That's going to be Baraz able to reload, get back with a shield in hand. We're going to have Hansen tag on the double kill into Choi and Lion, and we're last man alive here, 2-on-2, with Hansen and Renshiro against Drid. Drid's going to be the last man attacking, and the diffuser has gone down. They're going to have to make this plant last another 35 seconds. We are going to have Renshiro try to take on the shot. No, we've actually Drid getting finished off by Renshiro. Therefore, Hansen will get this diffuser destroyed. The round will go into the hands of Millenium.
And now Millenium looking like they want to start that comeback. However, they still have to compete with the proficiency of gBots going into gBots' next defense. A good defense from Millenium, however. Very standard hold there. Extremely slow take from gBots forced them to funnel a little bit one too many probably attacking operators down into the lobby drop itself, into laundry itself. And because of that, they became so few men towards the end that the refrags coming out from Millenium allowed them to get that retake and force out the defuse. Well, the disable of the diffuser. So now, still match point, still gBots on top. gBots will, however, be able to defend upstairs. We'll see how Millenium chooses to go about handling this particular attack. A lot of options here on this particular site. You could take from the tower and the B bomb site windows. You could take from Master Closet and Armory, or you could take from West down and then B bomb site windows. I mean, there's a lot of different choices, really.
10 seconds left.
taking a look here at gBots' setup, it's looking very similar to how they've held this site before, with the double mirror strat downstairs in the kitchen facing dining, and for the life of me, I can't remember. I feel like Millenium has actually successfully won this round, and they came in, basically just took over the top two and top floor, and it was up to gBots to try to get try to retake the site, and it just didn't work out for them, because that ended up being the Valkyrie and IQ pistol battle at the end, which Liven came out on top for.
Right, and it was through a melee kill, like you talked about earlier. Having that 3-speed gives you that a little bit of an edge, you know, in the knife fights where you can get up in the face of the opponent. Steezy gonna start things off here with a pick onto Wesker. Looks like that was straight on into Attic. And that was a very difficult angle to challenge as a defender, especially with an ACOG going up against a 3-speed. Sorry, especially with a Hollow going up against a 3-speed. Forgive me. So now, as Liven picks up Raz, it's looking real difficult here for gBots to keep themselves in this particular round. It's likely we are going to be seeing overtime. However, we have seen much closer clutches before.
Now it looks as though we do have Liven inside of the small dorms. Yogurt's going to push on into the kids as he takes down Lion. This is now top floor control again in the hands of Millenium. Dridge is trying to go out very aggressively. Wants to go for the shotgun under Renshiro when he takes him down. He's just saying, look, I just want to get one kill, and he does successfully. Choi's going to go for his small tower push again. Now he cannot go all the way over there without getting detected. As soon as he does, he will most likely have everyone swoop down onto him.
Yeah, Choi's basically caught off guard here.
And there it is. Yogurt's going to spot this as he comes off the back stairs. Choi sees him, and Yogurts will fall. Or sorry, Yogurts will get Choi.
Right. And now we have overtime. Ladies and gentlemen, on Oregon, Millenium, against all odds, have brought it back on gBots' map and managed to push us into a very, very exciting overtime. If Millenium can win these next 2 rounds, or 2 of the next 3, whatever the case be, they will win this series and push themselves into the loser bracket. If gBots manage to win 2 of these next 3, they will be pushing themselves onto a 3rd map. We'll see who the victor is then. Millenium going to start on defense, gBots on attack, and Millenium's going to opt to, first things first, start defending upstairs. Now that's really interesting, I feel, that they opted to go for the upstairs hold when they were so successful in the previous round, well, their previous defense round, on the basement.
And this might be due to the fact that, exactly right, you had just said that they have been successful on that bottom site, which is what you're most likely going to have Millenium expect. Or you're mostly going to have gBots expect. And so therefore, they've brought their Jackal, they've brought their IQ, they've brought the same operators that they have when it is time for that bottom floor hold.
Yeah, and that might play against the gBots attack, that they do not have the correct operators in this situation. So if it's the case B that they chose to go with this particular bomb site to mix up the operator selection from gBots, then that is very wise on them, and it look like it might actually work to their advantage. Or very wise on Millenium specifically. Steezy's playing extremely aggressive here in this hallway. He might get spotted out by Choi.
Ooh, he just gets spotted there and tagged in the back, but not enough bullets in the gun to finish him down. So therefore, Steezy will navigate back to the kitchen and inside of dining.
Good that he decided to fall all the way back to dining rather than try and challenge onto Choi a couple more times, because if he had gotten picked off, it would have been a really bad start there for Millenium. Instead, now he has control over the kitchen. He's going to try and maintain it. We are seeing clearly here from gBots, their attack is a Tower B window take. You have to take control of that tower to deny any of the flanks coming out from the defensive squad, so you can push your way onto the B windows and repel without a worry in the world.
Now we are going to have Renshiro, though, having his head just decapitated right off of him from Baraz on the very top of Red Tower. Looks like that was going to be the smoke trying to toss a grenade up there, or that was a mute trying to toss C4.
Yeah, and gBots having all their bases covered on this particular attack, not leaving anything open to chance. Waiting for that mute to come. I mean, that's kind of one of the main reasons you take tower in the first place, is to deny the roam game, right? So if you're not watching for the roamers, what's the point? In this case, it very clearly worked to gBots' advantage that they actually were paying attention to that.
Now we still do have Choi, who's outside of the small tower. He's been here since the start, just going back and forth through dining. And some of the remaining members here from gBots, they're going to be pulling up to those north windows now that they have control of red. Flashbang is going to go down and just blind Stizzy. Now, unfortunately for Lion, he's not going to get in with that stun grenade doing too much of a distraction. So 55 seconds left to go on the clock, a 4-on-5. Choi now giving away his position here right onto Liven. Liven's going to stay at the bottom of the stairs, try to re-engage this fight against the Jackal. This, again, just going to waste more time. Some members here from gBots, they've gotten onto the top floor, and it looks like Valkyrie cam from Lion, or will be taken out by Lion. Yogurt's still in the main hall. You've got Stizzy underneath. He's weary of the Jackal, though. Does have a C4 in hand, so he could get the kill from underneath with 30 seconds to go. Hansen still waiting for this push. Now Lion will try to go for the plant there, and there is successful. Stizzy trying to throw it on up through the drop hatch, but unfortunately does not land on its target. Dread peeks on through the window, dropping out the smoke. That's Hansen going down for the count. A 3-on-5, and now Choi still needs to hold on to outside. This is where he needs to be. He needs to make sure that IQ does not get killed off, and it looks as though Wesker will take down Yogurt as Liven picks off the head of Choi. 2-on-4 now in the first round of overtime. Stizzy trying to come back onto site. He's got to look to his side because Lion's going to be a hard left against the bomb site. He will turn. They're going to down each other. Last minute alive is going to be Liven coming in through the attic. It's not looking like he's going to have enough time. So he's going to try to fight Wesker here, and he will fall to it. And that will be gBots securing overtime round number 1.
A good attack there from gBots. A very, very systematic take. Just take control over the tower. Put yourself on the B windows, start to pick off the defenders one by one as they sit in the site, and then simply repel in and plant. Not much more to it coming out from gBots, and unfortunately for Millenium, all of their attempts to counter this particular take were thwarted. The mute coming from the basement with the C4 was killed off by the Blackbeard. All of the players attempting to flank onto the B window repels were killed off by, well, the B window repels. And then on top of that, the player who was playing in the B bomb site itself in that instance was unfortunately unable to influence the round whatsoever before he got picked off.
That was some very good pressure put on by Choi, playing the Jackal onto the Valkyrie who was underneath. Because Valkyrie, instead of being able to get the C4 toss that she wanted to from under, she had to toss it up through the drop hatch and try to extend it as much as possible to the middle of kids' dorms, and it just didn't reach the Hibana.
Right you are. And now 5-4 overtime match point in favor of gBots. They will be defending upstairs as their first option. Millenium were successful in this last time they were going into attacking rounds, so anything's possible here for them. We could be seeing an 11-round map.
Attackers recovered the diffuser. Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
And we're going to see Hansen start up by construction as the sledge player, working their way forward here towards Red Tower. Now again, with this kind of setup and having a lot of your players focus on that Red Tower take, it tends to lend itself to saying, okay, we're most likely going to be pushing those north windows again onto the B site. We have seen teams rotate off of that when they've deemed it not beneficial anymore, but for the moment, it looks like that's what Millenium's setting up for.
Yeah, both of these two teams are really focused on the north windows of the B-bomb site. You can clearly see that it is very well displayed. I mean, neither of them have tried for an armory take as of yet. Some of them have tried to pressure the main window into the A-bomb site. However, for the most part, it's just been time and time again. Take tower, repel B windows, try and get into the B-bomb site, get that diffuser plant. There is some pressure coming out here from onto armory, looks like, from Hansen this round. But I don't know how committed they are to that actual particular lane in this instance.
Dread still playing on that top main stairs corner. Heard the window get opened up, but still waiting for the repel in. Hansen, however, will spot him out.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Yogurt's now going to shoot up his breaching charge from underneath. He's going to tap his target. No, he won't just yet. He's going to drone out just a little bit more and possibly get some more intel before he does make a committed engagement. Millenium still pushing on in from dining. They're going to go up against this mirror window here. Looks like that's going to get opened up. Choi is now going to have to play this a lot differently. He doesn't have that one-way mirror anymore.
That just means he's going to have to play a little bit more passively all the way further back into the kitchen. But at the same time, Wesker is going to be picked off by Yogurts as Yogurts progresses his way swiftly into the meeting hall.
Troy's trying to navigate on out. Looks as though Liven's called him here. However, the shots from the back stairs, Barrage will take down Hansen, getting a little too greedy and only paying attention, being tunnel vision to that bathroom push. Yogurts, however, will finish out droning kitchen as he's going to stay inside of the meeting hall for the time being. Troy most likely has been narrowed down to the bathroom. Yogurts sees his feet there. That's going to call. Oh, he actually might not have seen the feet. Therefore, Troy could have this upper hand if he plays the steady card and stands still. Now, it looks as though Baraz will be picked up by Renshiro, and Lion falls to Stizzy with a double headshot coming out here from Millenium. 4 on 2 at the moment. Drid is drastically hurt. Choi has not been detected, but he is on the back stairs now. He's got to play a little bit more aggressively going up against 4 attackers. Diffuser has been planted. Drid's going to be inside of the middle dorms. Liven's holding onto the perfect angle here, and it is now all up to Drid. He's got about 40 health, and Stizzy just takes out the bearing 9 and says goodnight, and that is Millenium winning round 2. We're going into the 11th round here on Oregon.
Yeah, but Millenium's going to be thrust onto defense, and they've only had real success on the basement defense thus far in this particular map. Are they going to try and bring us to upstairs again? No, it is going to be a laundry room, supply room defense coming out from Millenium, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Previous time they defended this particular bomb site, the gBots roster took way too much time in their very methodical and slow take of the main lobby drop down before they opened it up. Now we'll see if gBots choose to adapt that strategy, try and mix things up a little bit, go for a different method, or if they're going to simply try to, hey, let's open up front door, open up the drop down in the lobby, and then get the diffuser plan.
Now Troy has opted to get off of the Jackal and push onto the Ash, which in this scenario I could see being useful. I haven't seen the Jackal play and the quickness that you would expect Jackal to bring. I haven't seen that yet from gBots today.
Yeah, whenever we see Jackal actually see play, he often doesn't even help the speed of the take whatsoever. 9 times out of 10, it would have been faster just to have somebody drone for you on a map like Oregon. I mean, the Jackal is especially useful when you're dealing with a lot of nooks and crannies where people can hide and you don't have time to check each and every one of them. You're like, oh, somebody walked into this room, I can all right, they're hiding in this corner over there. And you just don't really see that on Oregon. It's just so linear. And that's not in a bad way. Oregon's a great map, but it is very linear when it comes to the roam game. Very predictable.
Taking a look here, we are going to see gBots working their way towards that main lobby. Almost looks like Baraz did get up top of the balcony of master bedroom, so he could just be droning out, and you would see his drone above the crosshairs of Troy. He's going to be droning out the armory, master bedroom, and middle dorms, possibly looking to push in and engage and distract any of the roamers.
There are still players on far west right now for gBots with only 2 minutes left to go, an entire minute wasted in essence for the gBots lineup as they very slowly drum their way into the building. They are going to have to contest a very hefty investment from the Millenium squad in the meeting hall. Let's see if they're able to do so.
Yeah, and this is one of the things we've talked about before. It's been a 3-2 split almost the entire time. You just saw Stizzy drop. He's looking like he might go towards the back stairwell as Hansen is still in control of the bottom of the front laundry. Wesker's going to drone out Yogurt's there as his drone gets destroyed. Pushing on out, he's not going to push into the lobby. Instead, he's going to back out of garage, take a little bit of a more, we'll call it conservative angle from that white van out of the front doors. A minute and a half left to go. Baraz has taken massive damage from someone. I don't quite know who. Looks like it might have been Renshiro.
Whatever the case be, a lit Blackbeard is a good Blackbeard for defense, as despite the fact that he has that shield, he will still die to 1 body shot. And it doesn't look like we are going to be seeing gBots take the time to try and reset him yet.
I think that was Renshiro. I think he shot out either through the very top window or the second floor window onto the armory window.
Yeah, and here you can see gBots, they're trying to get those players from the defensive squad who were playing in the meeting hall. However, they have moved around. Ranchero here, as you can see, playing very aggressive into the tower. He will be spotted out and tagged up. However, he is wasting a colossal amount of time here for the attack.
We are going to have Troy trying to get rid of the barbed wire. That barbed wire placement might be a little bit odd to get rid of that one unless he's trying to drop and go for a quick push. He knows there's only 30 seconds left. The gas grenades are going to come out here momentarily from Hansen. It looks as though Ranchero, though, will take out Drid. Drid goes down, and Lion's got to move on out of the site. It looks as though he's going to escape with his life, but the gas grenades will hold it down. 15 seconds left to go. A double kill from Baraz. You don't leave Blackbeard even alive with 1 health, because that can happen. Yogurts and Ren will go down. You've got Live and Stizzy and Hansen, last 3 alive here from Millenium. Going up against 3 members from Millenium, however, or going up against 3 members from gBots, and it looks as though we're going to have another kill here from Troy and Hansen alive. 2 on 2. Defenders are going to win due to lack of time. Diffuser will not go down, and we are going to have gBots not come out on top. Millenium will take this win.
Against all odds, Millenium have managed to fight back against gBots on their map, on their turf, and bring it to an 11-round victory. A very, very well done one at that. At the very end, very last round there, we did see Millenium waste out all of the time on that round for the gBots attack, and gBots, unfortunately, they stalled out on their push downstairs and were unable to get any real momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, gBots, they looked fantastic during the first few rounds there.